Hi, I'm sitting here at my desk and just want to let you know we will not have a meadow service this week. We didn't get the yay yet from the diocesan office. And I also want to let you know that, but we're going to pursue it maybe the 16th, and just keep your eyes on your computers. As soon as we know, we'll let you know. And then also, a letter will go out tomorrow from me, so you'll see a letter, the letterhead, and then the Church of Episcopal Church of Colorado, from the bishop's office. I'll be sending you something called the Community Covenant. And what I'd like you to do is just read this letter. It's just one page on one side, so it's not too bad. It's actually very good about as a covenant, a Christian covenant, a community. We will do things like wash our hands, enter our spaces with care, keep masks on, distance ourselves, etc. And if we test positive, you would let me or Erica know, and then you would obviously self-quarantine for 14 days and that type of thing. And you don't have to sign anything. Parishioners don't have to sign anything, but just know that this is coming, because we've sent things out in the past and people just see it. It looks like junk mail. So I want you to make sure you see it, and then read it, and then take it to heart. It's good stuff, well written by the bishop's office. And just wanted you to know this is what we're doing. So I'm doing some pre-folds, and Eric and I'll just stuff these tomorrow and we'll get them out. So you'll see them in however long it takes Evergreen Post Office to get to your place. I also want you to know that the vestry's been working really hard to get us back into, to get together in the meadow. It will probably take us much longer to get back into the church. But I'm also aware that, sometimes September, mid-September, when we've tried to do a meadow service, sometimes we can't because it's already dropped and got too cold. So we're working on that, but we got to develop some sort of system where air is flowing better in our church. And then we might have to, even like the Catholic Church, take reservations for different services to see how many we can have per service, per 6 foot, cube distance around you, and all that type of thing. And we will simultaneously continue, whatever we do, we'll continue with Zoom for all those who like Zoom. The other thing that's gone on, I was pretty fried out. I think all this stuff hit me or just built up. And so if you're feeling kind of that angst of the virus, and it's almost like it's like a silent thing that it's like all sitting on our shoulders, and it's just not, right in our face, unless you know somebody that's died from COVID or has been real sick. If you're not that person, then it's not right in your face. But I think all of us are carrying kind of that burden of just having it in the back of our minds, and carrying it and just wondering, who's next and how many more and how long is this going to go on and when are we going to get back together and that type of thing. And I got to go home and I got to work for a week and, do stuff around the house. But then Kathleen, and I went off for, 4 days, 3 nights to a nice beach, and we could really calm down. It really helped me kind of get my head together and just kind of relax. And I came back refreshed on Friday. So I did tell you my daughter was positive. She's been retested, and yesterday she found out that she is negative. So we don't know if she was false positive, or we don't know. But everybody I know now, her boyfriend, Kathy, and I have all been tested. We're all negative. So the school here has been continuous since COVID started. They were down to 12 kids of essential workers. Department of Health allowed them to stay open. They now have a book that is literally this thick with all their bulletins and the things that they had to do in order to stay open. We're probably half full compared to last year now, but and then we'll just see what parents do to elect kids or to go to school physically or be learn remotely. So that will also affect what happens. But the school's in pretty good shape because they've wisely followed all the rules. In fact, I was just talking to Janet Resnick, the director, and she said that Colorado Health Department and Department of Health Services took a lot of what we did and actually made it part of their next bulletin. And I got to give kudos to Jerry Avery, because she, as our school nurse here, she would say back to them, there's something that came out, I don't know, I mean, they were getting a bulletin a day, but she would talk back to them and say, well, we can do this, but we can't do this. It's not realistic. Things like having, 2-year-olds, you can keep them apart, 6 feet apart in a classroom because they all sit, in various spots. But once let's go outside to go to, you got to stay 6 feet apart, getting in line, and it's, almost impossible with little kids that just are like, they're little. And so, you got one teacher, maybe a teacher and an aide. So she kind of talked back to them, and they backed away from some of those things. Just real practical stuff. And then I need to thank Nancy Longsworth, our treasurer, who's the one who really took to heart when the payroll protection plan was coming out. She, servilely went over to First Bank and we were kind of first in line with getting that thing started. I did my job. I sent things off on time. We were very assertive and aggressive about getting things done. If the bank wrote us, we sent it out that day. And Tom Maxey too, kudos to Tom Maxey, our bookkeeper, because if I got something and I needed the financial end, I would just talk to Tom and go, this has to go out today, and it went out. So every time we had a request from the bank, we jumped on it. There was zero dilly-dallying, because we just kind of knew in our hearts, I mean, it's basically free money, and you're taking a chance that you can't pay it back, but it was only 1%, and we just had to do it. And Jerry just thanked me for that, and I thanked her for being a good nurse and staying on top of things. So, and Janet even mentioned just a couple minutes ago that she thanked us for Erica and I and Tom and Nancy for just getting it done and getting done on time. So I hope you're okay. I am in my letter saying we need to reach out and support each other. It is hard. I've even found it. I mean, I found it hard. The way I roll is I like to just go see people, but we can't, or sometimes we can't. Someone dies, I want to just go there, and I did, like with Larry, and I went with Frank Lights, but they're not always home and answer the door, and people don't have some people don't have answering machines, some people don't answer email, so it's like a multi pronged approach to try and get a hold of people. And then what I'm asking you all, which some are doing, is reaching out to all these folks a lot of people have died in our parish, or they're related to our parish somehow. They've been here, or to reach out to those people, just call them or just send them a little note. I also get to hear the appreciation side where, for instance, Larry said, I have this many notes about Dixie. And a lot of them are Dixie's friends. She's well-known, well-liked teacher here. Then she worked, then she's in the a community of folks who collect things, because she worked down at Brass Armadillo down there, and then she's in book groups. So and they've been here since the '60s. So, but anything that can be done, and then just any little thing, I think people really appreciate it, especially now when we're all feeling this kind of silent but poisonous almost. It's like this vine all over us that we really can't see. It's invisible, but it kind of just weighs us down. And then for those of you who are just having a hard time, I mean, I don't know if you can get away like I did, but take a couple of days and just go somewhere. People always tell you to do that stuff, but I did it because Kathleen just planned it and we just did it. 3 days, near a beach really helped us, but we got mountains. So let's take some time, and even just reading the gospel for this Sunday, Jesus, after they do the feeding of the 5,000, which we talked about last week, he sends the apostles on the way across the lake, and he goes to the mountain to pray. And the underlying theme that is not written, but it comes right before all this, is that Jesus had heard that his cousin and his friend, John the Baptist, was beheaded and died, right? So he's in grief, and he decides to send the disciples to the other side. He'll meet them on the other side of the Sea of Galilee, and he goes up to pray. And so a very good reminder that even Jesus, as a man on earth, had to just go off and get away, even from his closest associates, and just get away and just get away from it all, and rejuvenate and talk to his Father and get things straight. And I just experienced that in 4 days and 3 nights. So I did get a chance to pray. I was walking along the beach, and I was thanking God for all the rest, and sleeping later and going to bed earlier, and not having to worry about even working on the house, and all that is it's really important. And I wasn't doing it. I was just coming to the office and thinking I had to be here and do all that, and I really just had to get away. So I urge you to take some time. I know a lot of you retired, but it's the same, you're doing similar other things. So and I thank the people who kind of reached out to me and said, Mike, you're disengaged, you're not with us, something's going on. And I was blaming some people, but really it was in me that needed to change. So I, again, re-engaged, and looking forward to getting things going and starting to talk to people about what we're going to do starting in September, and get that to my wife so she can put in a newsletter that she'll restart up September 1. And, just start reinvigorating. Enjoy the rest of your summer, but start planning for September and see if we can get this thing going again. And, just encouraging you. And this letter is a letter of encouragement. So I hope just makes you stop and think, and do what you need to do to rejuvenate and get back together. I feel bad for, some people are just not connected with us on Zoom. They just don't like it. I'd ask you to rejoin. I think my sermon was better on Sunday. I felt it was good, and I actually got someone that said, thank you, it was a good sermon. So, I knew it, but it's nice to get a little feedback. And the other thing is, we're not, what happens, at least from my perspective, people come into church. When we were coming to church, and they chit chat with me sometimes 1 second before I walk up the aisle, right? And but they're telling me what's going on, right? And they'll say generally people or afterwards at coffee hour, we just don't have that. And some people will call on the phone and say I got this issue, but generally if they don't see you, there's that little connection that we make even when we see each other lining up for church and then afterwards. And then some people stay later and I really get to talk to them. People will also say, I'll call you this week. And by then it's just out of their heads. They're back at work. They're back in their routine, whatever it is. So I miss that. And I think that is causing, just some angst because we don't, we're not having these little discussions like, oh, how's your son? And or how's, your daughter? Or how's, your husband or whatever. We're not doing that. And it's kind of, it feels awkward to pick up a phone and do it or even, you know what I'm saying? So, not having that personal contact, I think makes it all the harder. And so can't wait till we get back together physically so we can at least have all those little connections that are so much easier in person, not impossible on the web or phone, but just makes it easier. So with all that, God bless you. I'm looking forward to seeing you both on Zoom and also in person soon, hopefully at a Meadow service soon. I will certainly let you know as soon as it happens. And I will need help. We need 4 ushers. We need people at a welcoming table. Make sure we have masks on, put the goop on our hands and I'll be sanitized. Make, we stay distance and all the things because the general feeling will be you see someone you haven't seen for 3 or 4 or 5 months, you want to go and hug them. And the bishop actually gave a story about that. She was in D.C. the day that President Trump went over to St. John's Church, and she saw someone because her last church was in D.C. And so she saw someone she hadn't seen for a year and started to run over there to give him a hug, and her husband held her back because they have a son who has autoimmune disease. So he grabbed her and said, you can't do that. So, everybody's going to want to do it. And she said, yeah, tell that story, so she'll take the heat on that. But her husband, so we got to do that for each other. Anyhow, with all that, I can't wait to see y'all and re-engage. And God bless you. Have a good week, and I'll talk to you soon.